Trump campaign senior advisor, Danielle Alvarez. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Danielle. We really appreciate it. What's the Trump's team reaction to RFK suspending his campaign in the swing states, saying vote for Trump there? You know, let me back up. He said this is not his father, RFK, and uncle, his JFK's party anymore, that they would be astonished how they are, the Democrats are the threat to democracy, that they blackballed him, sued him and Jill Stein out of the primary, vicious lawfare attacks against Trump. What do you guys make of it?
You know, this is a great win. As President Trump had said in the days prior, he would welcome RFK's endorsement. He's put together a broad coalition. I think there were two clear messages that RFK delivered. One, the support of President Trump, but two, stating that the Democrat Party is no longer the same Democrat Party, and that their push and their claims for freedom are just empty promises, that Kamala Harris has been a failure. And so we are excited for what this means for our growing coalition. As was just stated, there is a memo that our campaign put out that shows some internal numbers and shows that in every battleground state, you know, RFK was polling at 6%, maybe a little higher, and we're going to work overtime to earn those votes after having earned RFK's support.
So talk to us about the internal polling you guys are seeing in the swing states. How many points toward Trump does RFK dropping out? How much higher is he bumping up in the swing states?
It really will depend on every battleground state. And again, we have to go out there and earn that support and earn those voters' trust. But that RFK endorsement is absolutely helpful, and especially his indictment against Kamala Harris and her absolute failures. As was stated, you know, a Kennedy supporting a Republican. We are ready to get to work, and we are ready to drive the home.
We're going to show the viewer the new ABC News Washington Post Ipsos poll. Trump leads Harris on the economy, inflation, crime, and the border. We're seeing that the polling shows RFK dropping out could give anywhere 2 points to 5 points to Donald Trump in the battlegrounds. That's a big swing. Turning to the news that the suspect in Arizona who made death threats on social media to kill Trump is now in custody. Ronald Severett, he's 60 years plus. What does the campaign think about the security for President Trump now? Because you have 5 U.S. Secret Service agents put on administrative leave, and one was a Secret Service agent from Trump's personal security detail. The 4 other are from Pittsburgh. What do you make of that? How is the Trump team feeling about this?
I will say that President Trump hasn't wavered in his admiration and support for his detail. There is nothing braver than the Donald Trump U.S. Secret Service detail during the assassination attempt against President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, who within seconds used their bodies to shield the president. He has said over and over again how grateful he is. He works obviously very closely with them, and they work very diligently to keep him protected. And I don't want to get ahead, obviously, of any sort of U.S. Secret Service, FBI, or congressional investigations happening about Butler, but I do want to echo the president's remarks and just talk about the bravery of those individuals who jumped on stage within seconds of hearing that gunshot
because
fire.
CNN is reporting that the Secret Service detail did not pick up the local police radios that they had set aside for them to use, and that within something like 3 minutes before the shots were fired, if the Secret Service was on those local police radios, they would have heard the warning radioed out, a man on the roof. And then, so that means that possibly that shooter could have been taken out sooner, and that man would not have died, and the president would not have been shot and another injured. Your final word.
Well, without divulging too much, I can say that our Donald Trump Secret Service detail has always taken threats against the president very seriously. Unfortunately, with the temperature of politics right now, that becomes more frequently than not. We saw those reports of Iranian threats and so forth. But again, Donald Trump's detail keeps him safe in our campaign. Definitely trust them in the work that they do.
Danielle Alvarez, thanks for joining us on the Trump campaign. Good to see you. Reaction